All right. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm so excited to have Cami here, who helps moms get started in their business and create a business that they love and a life that they love where they can be, the mom that they want and show up and also create a business around really are already a passion and what they love doing. So it's really fascinating. And I'm so excited to have you here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yes. If you would share just a little bit about you and kind of what your business looks like.
Sure. So, my name is Cami Langston, like you said, and I am wife, mom. I have two young boys. They're 7 and 5, and still trying to decide if we're going to have more. We've like waited, we've waited long enough that it's like, oh, I don't know. It's getting really easy. So I'm not sure, but we always talked
Yes.
about having more. So we'll see. We're in
Yeah.
that phase right
So,
now.
yeah. So I have a 12, 9, and almost 2-year old. So we have a
Oh,
large gap between number two and
okay.
three. So, yeah,
Okay,
which
well,
is,
we might have to talk about that later.
we do for sure because it's wonderful. It's so
Okay.
good. Like, yes, you're going through everything all over again, but like the older kids are old enough to like help and get it. And it's just so different
Yeah.
from having toddler and newborn, you
Right.
know? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. My first two are, I mean, they're like 19 months apart, which we always talked about having two close together, then waiting a little bit so that they were older and, at least one of them in school, and then maybe having two more close together. But now that it's actually that time, we're like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't know. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Anyways, so before I had kids, I was a high school math teacher. And growing up, it was never really like I always knew I wanted to be a teacher. I feel like a lot of teachers are like that. Like they grew up,
Yeah.
they always loved playing school. They knew they wanted to be a teacher. And that was not me. I actually started out as like dietetics and exercise in college and found out that I was going to have to like go more the medical route if I wanted to continue in that, like be in a hospital and stuff. And I was like,
Mhm.
oh, no, I don't want to do that. And so I decided to change my major. And, I was like, well, I love sports. I love, athletic stuff. And I've always enjoyed working with kids and stuff. So I decided to do physical education. And so my degree is in physical education. But when I got out, taught 1 year of elementary PE and I hated it. I always, I've always known that I'm not really a little kid person. But it's kind of hard to find a secondary PE position because they're normally
Yeah.
reserved for football coaches or basketball coaches. And that is not me. So, I ended up getting certified in math and enjoyed it enough. Like I
Mhm.
enjoyed my relationship with the kids. I really felt like it was something like a burden on my heart, like to really to serve in low income schools. And I worked with the kids that were struggling and I liked that, but I still like in the classroom, being in the classroom was not just not my thing, like it was
Yeah.
fine, but I knew that it was not something that I wanted to do forever. And especially once I had kids, like I knew once I had kids that I wanted to be able to stay home and for sure not go to a job that I didn't love. Right.
Right.
And so the plan was to wait to have kids until we were in a place where my husband's job and income could provide enough for us to live on just his income. But we got pregnant on quote unquote accident. I mean,
Yes.
we know where babies come from. So, it wasn't too much of an accident, but we ended up getting pregnant before we really were in a place that we thought we needed to be, right?
Mhm.
And so if I wanted to quit my job, like we weren't going to be able to survive at least the way we were living
Mhm.
on just my husband's income. And so I needed to figure out something if I wanted to stay home. And when I did the math, I'm in Oklahoma and it's gotten a little bit better now, but especially then, this was, like 7 years ago, 8 years ago, one of the lowest paying um like for teachers in the country. And so when I did the math of like how much I would be making versus putting a kid in daycare, it was like I was going to be bringing home like $1,000
Yeah.
a month. It's
Yeah.
like that's not worth it. That's not worth going to a job that I don't love to make $1,000. Like, no, I can figure out something to make that, and
Mm-hmm.
make it work. And we can, try and cut costs. And we can, we even ended up putting our house on the market and trying to sell because we knew that like we could get some
Yeah.
equity out of that and be able to buy somewhere cheaper. And I even ended up taking out my retirement. So technically I retired from teaching. I mean, I had only been teaching for 5 years, so there wasn't a
Yeah.
ton in there, but a little bit to kind of
Mm-hmm.
cushion and help us, because I just knew that I needed to be home. You can always make more money. You can't always get time back, right? You can't
So
get the time
true.
back. And so we were okay with cutting back on things, even kind of going into debt a little bit, more,
Mm-hmm.
to be able to make it where I could stay home. And then I was just kind of on a mission. I'm going to figure this out. And so
Yeah.
I tried it all. I started out in network marketing. That is what my initial thought was when I quit
Mm-hmm.
teaching, was like, I was already in a network marketing business and, was just kind of getting the discount and sharing with a few friends, and it's like, well, I'm going to just go all in on this and make this work. And really, I thought that was the only thing that you could do from
Yeah.
home as a mom, right? That's just kind of
Right.
what you see all over the internet is all these moms, running their side hustle with their network marketing business, selling shakes, or for me, it was lipstick, or
Okay. Yep. Yep.
oils,
Yep.
just all the things.
I have been
And
there too. And I have started a few network marketing
uh-huh. Oh,
businesses.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to call myself a network marketing junkie
Oh yeah.
because I would join because I wanted the discount, right? Like it
Hmm.
just makes sense to
Yeah.
to
Right.
join and become a distributor so that you
Yeah.
can get it at cost. And so, yeah, I joined a lot of them. I only really worked, well, I guess 3 of them. I joined like as soon as I turned 18, I joined a network
Mhm.
marketing company because I was already using the skincare. And so, I was like, well, I'm going to get it at a discount and maybe I'll share some in college, and
Yes,
make a
that's
little money.
so funny because I did the same thing.
Yeah.
Like
So
yes.
I think it's just that entrepreneurial spirit, right?
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
so, um, so anyways, that was kind of the original plan, was to do that. And so because of that, I really started diving into the whole online marketing space because I had a newborn, so I wasn't wanting to like go do all of these in-person parties, which is
Hmm.
what used to be, what people did. And so I was trying to kind of dive into like, well, how can I do this online? How can I do this through social media and stuff? And so that's what kind of started me down the world of online marketing, and discovered online courses and things. And over the course of, a couple of years, I kind of tried it all as I was trying to make that work. I did some web design stuff. I did bookkeeping. I did childcare. I did some cleaning. I did it all, like whatever I could figure out from home to do. I tried it. And through that network marketing company, I ended up just seeing a need. So within the distributors, you have to take care of all of the things business wise, right? So with this particular company, you had to have the inventory and you had to, you did all of that yourself. And so there were a lot of kind of tech things that you needed to be able to do. And that was something that I was good at, that I um, really understood how to do all of that and liked researching all of those different things. And I saw that a lot of the other ladies didn't. They loved selling it and they loved sharing the product, but they really had no clue about kind of the business and tech side of things. And so I just put this idea out there of like, hey, I'm thinking about creating some resources around this. Would anybody be interested? And just had an overwhelming response of yes. And so I ended up creating a course, like an online course for the distributors in that company. And as soon as people paid me for it, like, and bought it, I was just like, whoa, other moms need to know about this. Like, I had been
Yeah.
struggling in the company, right? Trying to sell these products that literally tens of thousands of other people are selling the exact same thing that I am. And that's kind of what I kept running into, was like, people were like, oh, I love this product. My aunt sells it, or like,
Hmm.
they always had someone that was closer to them that sold it too. And so
Right.
they're not going to buy from me, they're going to buy from them. And so once I actually made sales around something that, like, I was good at, something that was unique to me, it was just like, whoa, like, other moms need to know about this, that this is an option, that you could actually take something that you're good at, something that you're passionate about, package it up and sell it online.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what sparked the beginning of everything. And since then, there's been, different courses and different memberships and different things. But I just have just come to love, like, the whole online marketing space, and just the power of the time that we live in, that we have the opportunity to be at home with our kids, but then also use our skills and our uniqueness and create an income. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was a long story.
I
But
love
that's
it.
that's
It's
yeah, that's
so
kind of where I'm
good to
at.
know like the journey that you were
Yeah.
on that got you there. It's important, because sometimes you do have to try a lot of things before you
Yeah.
find the thing. And then the thing can change and pivot, and
Yes.
evolve. So that's
Yes.
so cool to hear that.
For sure.
So what are some of I'm curious, like, what are some of the passions that you've helped moms turn into businesses? Like, what are like a couple of the topics that you've been able to like help them create?
Yeah. So it runs the gamut, right? I've worked with a hypnotist. Right. So that's really interesting. Created a membership around that. I've worked with people in like the fitness, health, more, I guess, more like the like natural health,
Mm.
things. Um creating, courses around that. One of my clients has been, she teaches moms how to sew. And more specifically, she even, like, right now, what she's working on is teaching moms how to sew kids' clothes. So, like, to sew
Oh,
their own clothes for their kiddos. So, I
how
mean,
fun.
it can be all over, or
Yeah.
I mean, even like um the first kind of thing that I created, like I was saying, for the digital or the distributors in that company, the first thing that I created was a very, very, like, targeted. There was one piece of software that we all pretty much used, and I created like a little mini course around just that one piece of software. So,
Wow.
like, it doesn't have to be this huge, like, well, I am an expert at this, this big thing that actually, especially when you're starting out, um, it's better to kind of just take one piece. We kind of have a tendency to want to, like, put everything we know into our offer, because it's like, oh, you need to know all of this and all of it, but that can be really overwhelming for people.
Yes.
Well, for yourself too, creating it, but then also the people buying it, right? They're like, well, I don't
Hmm.
know if I need all of that. But when you can find just that one skill, right? That one thing that you can help people with, that one problem that you can solve, that's a great place to start.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. Yeah, because I think a lot of times we get ourselves stuck because we're thinking like it has to be this humongous
Hmm.
thing. And then it's like, oh, I don't know where to start. So
Yes.
I'm not gonna start at all. I don't know how to do this.
Yes,
So
for
yeah, I
sure.
think that's so good. And it's like take something you already feel comfortable with. Take something
Yeah.
that you have a passion about. you maybe aren't the expert, the number one person, but you know more than a lot of other people. You just
Yeah,
have to know a little bit more. You have to be like a few
exactly.
steps ahead. You don't have to be like 10 years ahead of people. Like
Right.
that's something
Right.
that's really lately like, okay, like come into my mind and made me
Yes.
like realize like, oh, yeah, it doesn't have to be that hard.
Yeah. I mean, for example, at my kid's school, so my oldest, he's in first grade, they have reading buddies that come down that are in like sixth grade
Mm-hmm.
to help them read, right? Are those sixth graders like experts? Like, do they
Yeah.
have a master's in literature? No, but they
Right.
know how to read better than a first grader. And so they can help them, right? It's the
Yes.
same thing. Like, you don't have to have the fancy degrees. You don't have to have a certain certification. Now, in some things, obviously, like,
Hmm.
please don't go label yourself a medical doctor if you don't actually
Right.
have your license. But for most of us, right? Like, you
Hmm.
don't have to have any certain certification. So just looking back at, like, if you have worked in corporate or, as a teacher or whatever your job was or is, what are the different skills that you do? What are the different programs that you use? What are the different um, problems that you solve within that company? And that's something that you could take outside of the company. Or it could be, like some of them that I mentioned, like the sewing, like more of around a passion, right? Or a hobby that you have. Maybe you're really good at baking. Maybe love to, I don't know, decorate. I'm trying to think of like specific, things. Well, even for instance, there's a girl that I follow on Instagram that has like this massive company actually now. Like, she has on there that she doesn't take any clients that are less than like $27,000 or something. She does playrooms. Like, she does these
Oh.
incredible playrooms for people. So, I mean, it's, those specific things, like, what are the things that you have maybe dealt with, like maybe a problem that you had and then you overcame it, you
Hmm.
solved it. Maybe it's something that your friends and family always come to you for, right? Like, are you the go-to tech person in your family? Are you the go-to, fashion fashion advice person? Whatever it is. There's so many things. But like we were chatting before we started recording, sometimes, what I've learned is that I used to think that ideas were hard to come by, right? And that
Hmm.
was like, you had to have good ideas, and that's what you were after. But really, what I found is the problem is that there's too many good ideas and it's
Yes.
picking the one and sticking to it. So I'm sure for any of you listening, there's 1,000 things that you could do. It's just finding the one that is going to light you up, keep you
Yep.
motivated, and that you can stay committed to. So,
Yeah. Oh, that's such good advice. The stay committed to like
yeah.
there's a lot of ideas out there and there's a lot of things that might be fun for like a little bit, but like what can you actually stay consistent with long enough to grow it, like to get the
Mhm.
income from it. And then maybe you pivot after that or you build a team or, whatever that might look like. But yeah, that's such good advice. I love that. Um, and what are some of the like the mindset shifts that people have to get over that you've seen them go through when they're in the job and they know that they want to like have the freedom. I think most of us want freedom, like they want the time freedom, the financial freedom. They want to do what they want with their time and money when they want to, right? And so, but we live in such a society where it's like you just think that that's like the thing to do. Like you grew up, what do you want to be when you grow up? Like you always were thinking about like the career, like who you were going to be, and that was so tied to your like your job title, right? And it's like that actually isn't who you are as a person. You're not just mom or teacher or whatever. Like you are a whole person and it's not exactly, what your job is, right? And so like I think a lot of times people are like so stuck in that. Like, okay, I got the degree, I got the job that I was supposed to get, and now I'm not happy and I want freedom. Like what do you see them have to go through in their mind to like get to a place where they're like, yes, I can do this?
Yeah. You know, first, as you were talking, I was thinking, and I'll speak to, some of the things because I definitely have struggled with some of that, but I was just thinking that, I think I was very blessed to not necessarily ever have that mindset
Mm,
of like your career is who you are and what you do because my parents weren't. My dad, I mean, they were not deadbeats by any means, but he did lots of things. You know what I mean? Like he wasn't just like an attorney and he was an attorney his whole life. When I was younger, he was in network marketing, actually. He worked with like a financial, and he still does that. He's always kind of had that going. But then like he worked for the Baptist General Convention of Oklahoma and did some fundraising things. And he worked for an oil and gas company. And then he kind of like did lots of different things. And same with my mom. I mean, she stayed home with us, but then she was like a dental assistant for a little bit, and then she worked at an antique store, and then she's worked at the church. Like, so neither of them have been very career focused, and so it was never really a focus in my family either.
yeah, okay, that's
Or
important to
you know what I
know.
mean, like in
Yeah,
me.
yeah,
So
for sure. So in a way, like the world is open to you. You're like, I
yeah.
don't have to be in this one box. I love that.
Right. But I do know that that is something a lot of people struggle with.
Yeah.
And I even struggled with, like I said, as I was a teacher, it never really was something that I just like loved. And so I feel like every year I kind of was like, okay, am I going to go back or am I going to look for something else? Because with teaching, there's kind of
Yeah.
that natural, right? Like you have a school year. So
Mm-hmm.
like, am I going to go back or am I going to try something else? And I always wanted to try something else, but I was too scared to, right?
Yeah.
Because there was security in what I knew and, job security in teaching, right? Like there's a
Mm-hmm.
teacher shortage. They're not they're not
Right.
getting rid of me.
Yeah.
Um and so, it's got great benefits, got insurance, like all those
Yep.
things. And so I kind of always hit that, every year of like, oh man, what am I going to do? And so I get that there's security that comes with those jobs. But I think just realizing that things can change. Um, you can always go back. Like you can
Mm-hmm.
always find another, well, I say that. I know that that's not always the case for people. Like I was going to say, you can always find another job. You can always find another job somewhere. It might
Right.
not be the job that you want,
Yeah.
but there's always something else that you can do. But
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest thing, that motivates me is just always envisioning um the end of your life. I know it's kind of more of morbid of just like, would I regret not doing it? And I was at a funeral of one of my best friend's dads a couple of
Mm-hmm.
weeks ago, and it was such a neat funeral. He was very involved in the church that I grew up at and was, a Sunday school teacher from, always like and like didn't
Mm-hmm.
miss a Sunday, and so there were just so many people there, one, and so many kind words about just the impact that he had made. And it just really got me thinking about like what do I want people to say about me? And
Yes.
like who's going to be talking at my funeral? And will I have very many people there? Like who's going to be there? And what impact will I have made? And if you can make that impact and you can do that like in your 9 to 5 job and you feel good about that, then by
Mm-hmm.
all means, like stay. do it. Like if you, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's the thing. I mean, we're not all called to be entrepreneurs. It's
Right.
not for everybody. But if you have something that you feel like has been laid on your heart to do, and you've been given kind of a vision for what your life could look like, then do it. Like be scared and do it anyways.
Yes.
Like there's not going to be a point that it feels comfortable or it feels secure. It's always like there's always going to be that fear and the unknown, and you just have to choose to do it anyways.
Yes.
So I
So
mean,
good.
I know that's easier said than done, but it's just the one step at a time. I love the song from Frozen 2 of, you know what I'm talking about? The one where Anna is singing of like the next right step, the next.
Yes. 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 Yes.
I haven't listened to it in a long time.
Yeah. I can't think of the tune, but I remember that
You know
song.
what I'm
Yes.
talking about? So like
Yes.
it's just like you just have to take the next step, the next step. So like if you're in a 9 to 5, I mean, I wouldn't suggest you just go in tomorrow and quit your job. Like,
Yeah.
just think about what it is that you do want, and then get a plan of how you're going to get there. And it might mean like staying in your job for a while and, start building up. So, I mean, maybe just that one step is like getting the domain name that had the idea for, or maybe it's just starting to brainstorm what your niche could be, it just taking those little steps, and then they add up.
Yes, for sure. I think that's so key is like just one step at a time, that next step in the right direction. And, like you said, that's like my motto is just like, do it scared, do it messy, just
Mm-hmm.
start walking in the direction of those dreams and goals that you have. And, like you mentioned earlier, you don't want to be like dying and think and have those regrets that I didn't go after my passion. I really love doing this and I didn't even try because I was so scared. Like, do it scared, do it scared. It's
Mm-hmm.
so good because people I think that they're going to get over this fear. Like they're going to just like, okay, I need to just like, and I see even people like get stuck in like doing all of the things, like getting all the certifications, doing
Mm-hmm.
all the courses, like 10 courses because they need to get and then because they think that that is going to solve, this fear problem, but it's not. You're still going to be scared. Even if like you feel really confident in the material, you're going to be scared. So do it anyways.
Yeah.
And it's like after you get through that, you do it scared, you have the fear, you do it anyways, like you do build confidence each time
Yeah.
you push yourself. So that's so so great.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
love it.
Yeah.
So fun. Okay, so tell us where we can connect with you and find you and where people can work with you.
Yeah. So the easiest place is just CamiLangston.com. And there's links to social media, to I've got Facebook group. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, Cami.Langston. And then also I've got, if or if you're thinking of like, okay, I, maybe have this idea, or I do want to start something. What I teach is a mom start method. And it's just kind of your easy 4-step path to kind of launch your first digital offer. And I've got just a free training on that. You'll find it at thecamilangston.com. So you can go
Awesome.
watch that, and it kind of walks you through the steps. And that's a great first step, right? Just the next step of like kind of getting the big picture of what it could look like.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much for being here. This was so much fun.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.